Hey guys! All right, so welcome to a Facebook Live video with me. Tonight I wanted to draw some of the animals that I haven't yet drawn for DES 103. So we're going to do two of the cats and we're going to do the little baby chick, and this should be pretty fun. So let's get right in it. First things first, let's pull up our animals. So if you haven't already, you should really be organizing your files. This is a big thing, making sure that you have your files organized. So please, if you haven't, set up a folder for this week and really, organize those files, you're going to want to do that. Make a folder for your course. Name it DES 103 if you're in DES 103. And then make a folder for each of the weeks. It just helps you so much when you get to those capstone courses to find your work. All right. I even like to do subfolders such as, assignment, assessment, discussion post. Keep everything nice and organized. So I've already done this cat a couple of times, so I'm not going to do this one tonight, but we're going to do the cat with the bow, Mr. Gray Cat, and then the little chicken this evening. So I think that this will be fun. All right, what I am going to do is I am actually going to set this up the way that you're supposed to set it up for your assignment with the 3 artboards, but I'm just going to draw one of the animals on each of the 3 artboards just to save a little bit of time and a little bit of space. After I finish this Facebook Live video, what I will do is I'll upload it to YouTube and I'll chunk it out so that way it's each of the animals separated. So for this assignment, you're going to want it to be a letter. You can go up to print in the new document window. Just change the drop down to inches. I don't know about you, but my brain does not think in points. And then we're going to do 3 artboards and make sure that the orientation is portrait, not landscape. And hit create. And you have your 3 artboards. If you are like me, or you want to follow exactly and have things look like my screen, change your drop down to Essentials Classic. It usually defaults to Essentials and you don't have as many of the tools that you would normally have on the screen. I like to work in Essentials Classic personally. I also like to turn my rulers on. So you can go up to the top to view, go down to rulers and go to show rulers. It just gives you some nice guides. And then we're also going to open up our layers panel. So over on the right-hand side, you have this other set of icons right here. If you click on the ones that look like 2 pieces of paper on top of each other, that's your layers. And we're going to place our first cat and we're going to set it up as a template. So I'm going to go up to File, Place. And this is where having everything nice and organized comes in handy. I know exactly where everything is to grab it. So the first one that I am going to do is cat number 2, and I'm going to place it. All you need to do is click on the screen. Do not scale it once you have placed it, but if you would like, you can center it nicely on the screen. Once you've done that, you can just click off and go over to the layers, and there's a little preview. It's really hard to see, but it's actually a preview of the image that you just placed, and you're going to double click on that box right there. We're going to name it template, and we're going to check off the template box. And then this is up to you. You can choose to dim images to 50% or not. I am going to choose to do that just because it's going to be easier for you to see what I'm doing on the screen if it's a little bit lighter. Now you'll notice that it gives me this, pencil with a circle with a slash through it. It kind of reminds me of the do not smoke sign. This means that I can't do anything on this template because it's locked and it's a template layer. So what I need to do is I now need to create a new layer, and we're going to draw on that new layer. So let's click there. And we can name this layer Final Artwork. And now we can draw on this layer. And the good thing about the template layer is you can't accidentally move things around while you're drawing and kind of shift your template off to the side and then things don't line up. So it's really, really a good thing to have that template layer, especially for that reason. Because if you're like me and you accidentally just go in and move things around and then you end up spending all of your time just trying to fix it, right? Which is such a pain in the butt. So you really don't want to do that. All right, so we're going to get started drawing on our template layer. I'm just pulling up, right? Whoa. Which is such a pain in the butt. Myself talking. I wanted to just double check that people didn't have any questions in the chat and make sure that it's running correctly, but I don't need to listen to myself. All right. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm redrawing something is I want to make sure that the fill color is set to nothing, and I like to give my stroke color or the border color a nice bright color so I know exactly what the line work is that I'm drawing. So I'm going to open up my swatches, and again, if you're in Essentials Classic, your swatches are already over here. If they're not showing up, go up to Window and scroll down to Swatches, and you can manually turn them on right there. I'm going to change my border to hot pink, and I want to make sure that my fill is set to nothing, which is that white box with the red slash through it. Now let's zoom in. If you've watched my other video on speed dating in Illustrator in 7 minutes, you'll see how I fixed my zoom. I like to have the zoom where I can draw the marquee and zoom right in. Now you'll notice that I'm on the zoom tool, but I go to the hand tool, but it's still showing me on the zoom tool, right? But I can move things around the screen. If you press a space bar on your keyboard, that instantly brings you to the hand tool, and then as soon as you release, you're back to the tool that you were on, which is a really great feature. And that feature is available in all of the Adobe products. Now, one of the things that you will want to note is if you're in the in a text box and you press the hand tool, it's just gonna, or you press the space bar, it's just gonna add spaces in. So just kind of be aware of that when you're using text. All right, one of the things I want to point out before we start building our cat, everything about the cat is a shape. So think back to some of the shapes that you had drawn on the first 2 artboards of your assignment. You drew some circles, you drew some squares, you drew some rectangles, you drew some triangles. When we look at this cat, we can see really 2 basic shapes that make up the cat. Triangles and circles. That's pretty much it. This cat can basically be drawn as triangles and circles. That's all. So when we are drawing something, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we start with the pieces that are in the back first and work our way to the front. So that means drawing this part of the ear first, then this part of the ear. Then we're going to make a copy of it and place it over here. Then we're going to draw the face, the shape of the face. Then we can worry about doing the bow and all of the different features on top of the face. The reason why is when we color it in, if we drew the bow first and then we drew the face last, it's going to place the face on top of the bow, and we're going to have to sit there and try to rearrange everything and make sure that it's in the right order, which can tend to get a little bit cumbersome when you're trying to do that. So I'm going to navigate over to my polygon tool first, and I just want to click on the screen because I want to make sure that I have a triangle, which is 3 sides, and you can see that the last time I made a polygon, I made something with 6 sides, which if you ask my 2-year-old, she probably knows what that shape is called, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. So I'm going to place the triangle over near the ear. And then I want to start to rotate the triangle. Now there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can go over to the properties panel, which is on your far right over here, and go to where the angle is, and you can start to manually, with your up and down arrow keys, turn your triangle till it looks like it's about the right angle that you need it to be. Or you can hover at the corner and it gives you those double arrows that are kind of curved, and that will turn it as well. Everything in Adobe has about 6 different ways to be able to do it. Now at the top of the triangle, you'll see that there's a dot here. And when I hover over this dot, let me zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. When I hover over this dot, it turns my black arrow tool to having a curved line at the bottom. And what that's going to do is when I start to drag that dot down, it's going to start to curve all 3 sides. So that's how I'm going to get my curve of this little cat's ears. And then once I do that, I can just readjust the shape of the ears and pull it down nicely into the head. See, because you can't see that curve of the ear, so if you pull it down, you won't see it. We can hide it behind the rest of the head. There we go. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Just try to get it as close as you can. So next I'm going to make another triangle. Again, just click on the screen and try to line it up as best as I can with this one. And you're going to want to reshape the triangle while you are on your selection tool, which is your black arrow tool. And to get to that tool, it is the letter V. That's the quick key. Even if you're new to the programs, it is really good to learn the quick keys because it just speeds up the process for you to be able to do things. There we go. Perfect. All right, so I've got my one ear done. I'm just going to twist this side just a smidge more. Like I said, you don't have to be perfect. Just try to get it as close as you can. And now I'm going to select both parts of the ear and I'm going to make a copy of it while also reflecting it. So think of it as the ear. Here's a mirror and it's going to make a reflection of the ear over here. So with your black arrows, your selection tool, click and drag a marquee over both parts, over both of those triangles. So it selects both of them. And we're going to go up to Object, Transform, Reflect. And you can turn on the preview so you can see what it's going to do. All right, it's going to reflect it like that. That's great, but we want to make a copy so that way we leave the original one right there. So hit copy. Now before you've done anything, go up to Object and group that so it grabs both pieces. So that way if you accidentally click off, you can grab both of them to move them over. And now we have our second ear. Before we go any further though, select both of them and ungroup it. It'll just make the process of coloring it back in a little bit easier in a couple of minutes. All right, next, let's make our bow. So, 2 triangles and a circle. That's it. Go to our polygon tool and we're going to click and make our first triangle. And let's do it this way. And open that up a little bit. There we go. So we've got triangle number 1. Nice. And then we can try to reflect this and just place it over here. So let's do object, transform, reflect. And again, we want it to be a vertical 90-degree reflection. And we're going to hit copy. And we can bring this one over here. And then we just need to tilt it a little bit more. And make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Great. And then next we can go to our ellipses tool and draw our circle that's going to go right in the middle right there. And that actually needs to be kind of turned too. Even though it's a circle, you'll find that you'll be able to fit it better. And make sure that your circle overlaps both of the triangles of your bow. All right, next, let's make a triangle for the face. And we're gonna add in another few tools after we do this. So let's go to our polygon tool and we're gonna click to add 3 sides and hit OK. And then go over to your properties and immediately do a 180-degree rotation. So the triangle is upside down. And place it right about here. And expand it. And you'll see there's going to be a lot of manipulation with this triangle to get it right. So you're just going to have to keep kind of working at it. Because it's almost a circle, but not quite, right? Okay. We've pretty much got the chin of the little cat correct, but you'll notice that up here, it doesn't really match. So this is where we're going to bring in the white arrow tool, which is your direct selection tool. I'm going to zoom in again. So I want you to make sure that you don't have your rectangle selected right now. If you're not sure, just kind of click off to the side anywhere on your artboard. Then we're going to click in the upper right hand area of your triangle / cat face. Now you'll notice if I click anywhere in here, I can't select anything. Know why? Because Illustrator only considers things that are, you know, painted in to be, or the actual line itself to be a selection. So because the border is painted in, it considers there being something on the page right there. Because there's no fill right here, it just considers this to be blank space. So that's one of the things that people really need to get the hang of in a way with Illustrator is, you know, selecting things where they need to select it. So again, I'm going to select right here, and you'll notice that I get these 2 handles. What I want to do is I'm going to just kind of drag the face up where I need it. Don't worry about getting this part perfect. Worry just about right here, because our cat's ears are going to cover that part. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Click over here, and then once you get the handles, drag it up over here. And again, the bow is going to cover that part. So actually, I did my bow out of order. Whoops. No worries though. If you do something out of order, hold down Shift, select all 3 pieces of your bow. And we're going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. There you go. Next one I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw a little circle for the top of the head. So we're going to go to our ellipses tool and just start to draw that circle it's usually easier to try and manipulate it with the black arrow tool as opposed to getting it correct with the circle tool right off the bat. Then what I want you to do is I want you to select 4 different things. So we're going to hold down shift right now. We're going to select this circle. We're going to select this ear. We're going to select this ear. And we're going to select the head right here. And we are actually, you know what? Leave this ear selected, hold down shift and deselect this ear because I want to move this part to the back. All right, so we've got these 3 selected. This ear, just the outside of it, this circle, and the face. And then what we need to do is we need to open up our Pathfinder tool. So we're going to go to Window, Pathfinder, and we're going to choose the Unite tool, which is going to combine all of those shapes into just one shape. Right there. Perfect. Or as the cat would say, perfect. The cat really wouldn't say that, but it would be funny if it did. All right. So next you'll notice that we have this other area in here that's a different color than the rest of the cat's face. So there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. We can, draw a triangle again and just manipulate the edges of the triangle, or we can use this tool called the curve tool, which might be a little bit easier for you to use. Let me think. Actually, let's use the pen tool instead of the curve tool. So we're going to use the pen tool, and this is the thing about this is it's going to seem a little bit weird. You need to start out here, like way outside of the cat's face, because we want to slice. Think of what we're doing right now is the cat is a cake right now, and we're going to take out this piece right here like a piece of cake that we're going to serve. So you would want to make sure that you do your cut that goes all the way through. That's kind of what the pen tool is going to do right now. So we're going to start out here, and then I want you to click here. Don't let go when you click. Click and drag up until you kind of pull out the handle, and you can follow the curve. Then let go. Then you're going to hold down your Option key and drag that handle so it looks like a mirror of the handle that was over there. And then click and just kind of drag out here. And then click, 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 click over here until you close up that path. So this is one way to do this. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways, because if you're having a whole lot of trouble with the pen tool, then that might seem really frustrating to you. Second way we can do it. Let's draw a triangle. Right? I mean, we've been doing triangles all night. Drag the triangle out. Till you get it about as, try to get the point where it goes. And then click off and click on the triangle. Come on. With your white arrow tool. And just kind of try to manipulate that a little bit. Drag that one out a little bit. And then we're going to bring in our curvature tool. And I want you to click right here and pull it in. Click right here and pull it in. And you might need to just kind of fix that point a little bit. And the same with this one. With the white arrow tool, you'll notice I'm using the white arrow tool. And again, it does not need to be perfect. Just try to get it as close as possible. So that might be a little bit of an easier way to do this. So then what we're going to do is we're now going to select the face in that part that we just drew. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can select them by holding down Shift and selecting both of them with the black arrow tool. If you're having trouble doing that, grab the black arrow tool and draw a marquee just over the area of those two shapes. This time we're going to go up to the Pathfinder and we're going to click on divide. And it's not going to look like it did anything. Remember how when we combined it, it instantly looked like it did something? But it actually has. I just need you to click off and go back to your direct selection white arrow tool and click right here. And you're going to hit delete, delete. And now you have that shape. Pretty cool. All right, let's draw the eyes next. We're going to do one eye and then we're going to reflect it to make it our second eye. So let's go to our ellipses tool and draw a circle. And then we're also going to use that curvature tool again. So start at the top and then make a point, click, oh, hold on. Start at the top, make a point, click, and make sure you don't touch the circle with your second point, because you'll notice it won't let you do that. And then once you have that line there, you're gonna click in the middle and then just drag it over. And every time you finish using that tool, you want to go back up to your black arrow tool and click off. And then you can just make it the right size that it needs to be. And then do the same thing right here. Click, click, and give it a little bit of a curve, back up to the black arrow tool, and bring it down. And you'll notice it's not the correct width that it needs to be, but that's okay, because we're gonna fix that after. Then black arrow tool, draw a marquee around this to select everything, and we're gonna do an object, transform, reflect, and a vertical 90-degree, copy, and I'm using my arrow keys to move this over until I get it off of that one. And I'll just plop that eye over there. Next, we can make the little cheeks. So again, just some circles, rotated. Perfect. And once you get one, object transform, reflect, copy. Whoops. And bring that one over. And then his nose, just a little upside down triangle. So we'll go back to our polygon tool, click, 3 sides. Ooh, that was kind of big. Make it a little bit smaller. 180-degree rotation, not 18, 180. There we go. And start to round it out. Nice. And then we're going to use our curvature tool to make the mouth. So we're going to start here, click here, click in the middle and drag down, and then click off. Just try to get the line in the middle as close as you can. And then I'm going to select this. Once I get it right, I'm going to do an object transform, reflect, and copy it. And I'm going to move it over with my black arrow tool. I'm just going to place it, whoops, right there. And then I'm going to take my rectangle tool. I'm just going to draw a rectangle for this area right here. And double check. Ooh, almost forgot. Need to do the little, like, doot, doot, doots over here. So I'm going to use my curvature tool to do this again. So click, click, the middle, drag up, go back to my black arrow, then back to the curvature tool, click, click, the middle, drag up, click, click, middle drag up. And then there's actually two kind of right in here, the little shadows. So click and drag there. And then I can just manually move that over. And then I can make a copy of these ones for over here. So object, transform, reflect, hit copy. And again, I'm just going to use my arrow tool, arrow tools to move it. And just rotate it a little bit. Try to get it as close as I can. There we go. And then draw, there's another one right here. So I'm gonna just select this one and reflect it with a copy. Oops. And move that down here. There we go. All right, so now we can concentrate on coloring this little guy in. So there's one thing that I want to point out. When you are selecting and eyedropping, if that's how you plan on coloring it in, make sure that you select with the black arrow key and then eyedrop and then go back to the black arrow key to select it again. But this one section right here, notice how it grabbed the whole face, but we've cut out that little piece. What you want to do for the face is you want to click on the chin, okay, of the cat right here, and then select with the eyedropper using the white arrow tool. But we'll do that after because we want to focus on coloring in the things that are in front of these big areas, so that way we don't fill them in and we can't see what we're doing. So I'm going to select with the black arrow key this rectangle I just drew. I'm going to go to my eyedropper tool. I'm going to click and eyedrop. And you'll notice it gets rid of the hot pink stroke at the same time. Then what I can do is select both of these, and I'm going to eyedrop the color, and you'll notice it sets it as a fill. I'm going to use the two arrows right here to flip it and make that the stroke instead. And then go up here to the stroke weight, or you can go up here to the stroke weight, wherever you would like, and expand it. And I like to cap it off with the round cap, so it looks just like it's supposed to, like the little whiskers. Once I've done this part right here, I can actually select my eyelashes, all four of my eyelashes, and eyedrop them off of my mouth and get the same color. Then I can grab my eyes and eyedrop them off of that little rectangle to get the same color. Hold down Shift and select my nose and my cheeks and eyedrop here to get the same color. I'm going to make sure I bring that to the front. All right, now we're going to use that white arrow key to color in the face like we were talking about. So let's go to the white arrow key, click on the chin, and we're going to go to the eyedropper and eyedrop right there. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We're going to click on the top of the head, let's say. Use the eyedropper tool and eyedrop that. Whoops, and I forgot to move this all to the front, which is okay. I'm going to select this, and it'll be easier for me to select this in the ear and do an object, arrange, send to back. There we go. All right, so I am going to grab the three pieces of my bow right here and color it in. Then I'm going to grab these pieces of the bow And I'm going to eyedrop, whoops, this one. I'm going to eyedrop the blue, flip it to be the stroke, and double click. And then I'm just going to manually go in and make it a little bit darker. And I want to cap it with the round cap and probably change it to 2 points for that one. Then I'm going to grab the inside of the ear right here and this inside of the ear. Don't forget about this one back there. And I'm going to eyedrop over here where I can still see the color. And then last but not least, eyedrop this part of the ear right here. And our cat is done. Cat number 1 is done. So make sure you save and save often. You'll notice I did not save. So DES 103, assignment 1, first and last name. Hit enter, hit OK. So we've got 1 cat done. All right, I'm going to move on to artboard number 2. And I am going to open up my layers panel real quick. And I'm just going to grab both of these layers. This isn't anything that you would need to do, but I'm doing it just so that way when I do the next one, I can set it up the same way. I'm just going to grab both of these layers and I am going to rename them Fin for Finished. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to make a new layer. And I will grab my next image, which is, I think, the other cat, Cat3, our angry gray cat, and I'm going to hit place. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to place him in the middle. I'm not going to expand him at all. And as soon as I get him where I want him to be, I'm going to go over to my layers panel and I'm going to double click on the little preview it gives me and rename this template. And I'm going to check off the template. And again, your options are you can dim the images to 50% or not and hit OK. I am going to dim it. Then you're going to make another new layer and you're going to name it Final Artwork. And this will be the layer that we're working on. If you have any other layers on the screen, you might want to toggle the lock so that way you're always sure that you're working on the correct layer. So for this guy, he's a whole bunch of triangles and circles. That's it. Triangles and circles. We've been doing those all night. All right. So let's go to our polygon tool and click on the screen. Oh, before we even do that, let me set my fill to nothing and I'm going to do my obnoxious hot pink so that way you guys can see what I'm doing on the screen. And it might help you to set yours up that way too when you're drawing. Click on the screen, 3 sides is a triangle. So I get my 3-sided triangle right there. And again, you can go over to the properties panel and you can manually rotate if you're set up like me in Essentials Classic, or you can hover at the corner and get the, until you get the double curved arrows and just try to get it as close as you can. Now you'll notice I have it selected with the black arrow tool and I'll click on this dot here, drag it in. That's gonna round my corners. Drag it out, and drag the bottom down into where the head is gonna be because I'm gonna cover this with the head. Then I'm gonna draw my other triangle for the inside of the ear. Oops. Grab it, rotate it, and curve it. And actually, I might just leave it like this. That looks perfect. Because again, the head's going to cover it, so it's great. All right, I'm going to select both of these. Black arrow tool, draw a marquee around the 2 of them. To select them, go up to Object, Transform, and we want to reflect this. Vertical 90 degrees and hit copy because we want to keep the original one that's there. We just want to make a flipped copy of it. And then bring it, whoops, if you accidentally click off like I just did, hold down Shift to select both of those, bring it over, and you might just need to adjust the rotation just a little bit. Perfect. All right, next we are going to draw some circles for the face. Go to your ellipses tool, start drawing a big old circle for his head, and get it as close as you can, okay? If you're not comfortable kind of editing the circle with the white arrow tool, that is okay. You can leave it like this. I would just make it just a little bit bigger so it covers that part of the ears. But if you want to get it correct, click off, go to your white arrow, your direct selection tool, and click over here. And we're going to just bring the handle up a little and edit that one corner of the face. Perfect. Next, what I want you to do is we're going to draw some big circles that are going to be these overlapping lighter gray patches right here. So let's draw a really big circle. There we go. And another really, not as big, but pretty big circle. Perfect. And we're going to do the same exact thing that we did with the other cat. If you weren't watching that part of it, what we're going to do is open up our Pathfinder tool, and we're going to cut up these 3 circles. So I want you to hold down the Shift key and click on this big circle here, this circle here, and this circle here. And then we're going to go to the divide option, which is the lower left-hand corner option, and click. And you'll notice nothing happens. That's okay. Then you're going to go to your white arrow or your direct selection tool, and you're going to click on the side right there and hit delete twice. Hit down here and hit delete twice. And now we have our 2 different areas. All right, next we're going to make the eyes and nose. I'm going to show you a little trick. So it's an arrow. Let's immediately make it 180 degrees. Try to get it to the right size. It's got a little bit of a angle on it. There we go. You just gotta kind of finesse it, get it as close as you can. Zoom in if you have to. All right, let's make a copy of this. So we're going to go up to Edit Copy, Edit Paste once, Edit Paste twice. Grab the first one, move it over here, grab the second one, move it over here. The eyes are the same exact shape as the nose. We just need to rotate it once we've got them over here. There we go. And just move him down. Remember, you have to grab from the border, which can be a little bit awkward to do. Perfect. All right, next we're going to do our circles for the eyebrows, I guess, and his little cheeks. He just looks so angry. But then when you zoom in, he just kind of looks sad. All right, so let's go to our ellipses tool and draw our cheek first and just rotate it. Get it right. Perfect. Then we'll draw our eyebrow up here. And again, we're gonna rotate it just to get it right. Then I want you to hold down Shift and select both of these. And we're going to do an object transform reflect, hit copy, and we'll move our other set over here. And you'll notice that the eyebrow doesn't line up the same on this one. It's okay. Just kind of move it over. Now the only thing we have left to do is our mouth and our whiskers. So we're going to use our curvature tool for the mouth, but we can't touch the nose, okay? So what you want to do is click not touching the nose and kind of either drag up or click in the middle and drag it down. And then go to your black arrow tool and you can just fix it and then do an object transform reflect, hit copy, and you've got the other side of your mouth. You just need to kind of rotate it a little. There we go. And then we're going to do our whiskers. Again, with our curvature tool. So 1, 2, 3. And then you can make a copy of this. So edit, copy, edit, paste. And let's just rotate it a little bit. There we go. And then grab both of these and zoom out a little. And we're just going to do a reflection again and copy it. And rotate these guys a little bit. There we go. And you can just kind of expand that one. You just kind of fix the curve a little if it's a little bit off. There you go. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to color them in. So first I want to color from the front to the back. I built it from the back to the front, but now I want to color from the front to the back. I'm going to select with holding down Shift his nose and his eyes, and I'm going to, with the black arrow tool, I'm going to go to my eyedropper tool, click an eyedrop. Then this one part's going to be a little bit weird. I'm going to select both pieces of the mouth, and I'm going to click on the nose because I want it to be the same color as the nose, but then I need to flip it because it fills it in instead of giving it a stroke color. So I need to flip it with the 2 arrows. Go up to my stroke, change that to about 3 points, and I'm going to round off the cap with the round cap tool, and then just click off. Then for these ones, I'm going to select all 4, and I'm going to eyedrop the mouth so it gets the shape right and the stroke right. And then what I can just do is just lighten it up a little bit to make it that little bit of a lighter gray by double clicking on the color swatch and editing it. All right, let's do the inside of the ears next. I'm going to select both insides of the ears, eyedrop them. Then this ear is actually a different color than this ear. Here's the thing too, you can color your cat, your chicken, your bear, any colors that you want. I'm just doing the colors that are here kind of for time's sake. And for those of you, because it kind of shows you a couple of good tips and tricks in Illustrator. All right, I'm going to grab the cheeks and eyedrop them and the eyebrows. I mean, I guess if cats have eyebrows, I guess this cat does. I drop them. And then this is where it's going to be different. We're going to use the white arrow tool to color in the face because we've broken it up into pieces. So I want you to click on the outside, and you'll notice how it selects this portion. We're going to go to the white arrow, to the eyedropper tool, and eyedrop, and then click off, go back, and select this outside, and eyedrop, click off, then we'll select, again with the white arrow tool, this outside, and eyedrop. And this cat is done. Save them. And next we'll do the chicken. So let's zoom out, go to artboard number 3. All right, so for the chicken, you're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna lock the layers that I'm not currently using, and I'm gonna make a new layer. I am going to do a file, place, and I'm gonna grab my chicken, hit the place button, and just kind of place them as close as I can in the middle of the screen, and double click on the preview it gives me. Name it template. Make sure you spell it better than I can. Check in the template box. Again, your option if you want to dim the images or not. It's up to you. And hit OK. Then you're going to make a new layer. We're going to name that Final Artwork and hit OK. We're not going to lock or do anything with that one, and we'll be drawing on our Final Artwork layer. So we're going to build the chicken as shapes from the back to the front. So let's start making our circles, right? Because he's got a lot of circles going on here. This is where your rulers are going to come in. So if you haven't turned your rulers on yet, View, Rulers, and you would select Show Rulers. I already have mine on. You're going to click down from the ruler and drag it to the top of his head, to the side of his head, and then to the other side of his head. Then you're also, actually that kind of got it great right there. You're going to drag one kind of to the bottom of his belly right there. All right, so circle tool or ellipses tool, whatever you like to call it. Draw your first circle from guide to guide. And you might just need to pull it down just a little bit. Oh, and make sure your border's colored in. There we go. And then I'm going to take another circle. I'm going to start it up here and draw from guide to guide, bringing it just a smidge wider. Bring it down a little. Perfect. All right, next, another circle. I'm going to draw a guide right there and right there. And try to get this one as close as possible. I'm going to use my white arrow tool. I'm going to select right here, and I'm going to drag this handle over, and then I'm going to select right here, and I'm just following right along the guide I drew and drag that handle over. And see, fixes that bottom right there. Next, let's build his wings. His wings are actually a set of circles. I know it's hard to believe, but that's exactly what they are. So I'm going to draw my first circle. It's going to be tall and skinny. And I'm just going to kind of rotate it until I get the rotation about right. About right there. Then what I want you to do is select it with your black arrow tool and hold down the Option key. And you'll notice when you get closer to it, that, well, it should show you, there we go, that it goes from being one arrow to two arrows. I want you to click, drag up, and let go with the mouse, and then let go of the Option key, and you can resize it. So that way you're sure that you've gotten this to be the same, at the same angle that you need it to be. And then for this one, we're going to do the same thing again, but we're actually going to rotate the angle. It's just a little bit easier to grab the Option key, move it up, let go with the mouse, then let go of the Option key. We're just going to rotate it a little. Place it right about there. There we go. And then we're going to select these 3 circles, just like this. And we're going to use the Unite tool and make them one shape. Then I want you to select it after you've done that. And we're going to go up to Object, Transform, Reflect, and hit Copy. We're going to move, whoops, that copy over. And as you start to drag it, hold down the Shift key and it'll drag it nice and straight for you. Perfect. So you got his whole body done. All right, let's do his feet and then we'll focus on his face. So the feet, kind of interesting, but not difficult. Not difficult. First things first, let's grab our rectangle tool. We're going to draw a rectangle right here, kind of just down to this area right here, and make sure you kind of have it overlapping, I guess, the body a little bit. And then I want you to do an Object, Arrange, and send it to the back, just so that way it's behind the body. And you're for sure. But you don't want to have that weird white gap there if it doesn't match, line up. Then we're going to go to the curvature tool. And I want you to click here and click here. And then we're going to drag up, drag down, drag up, and click off. Or do I have that backwards? I have it backwards. Yes? No? Yeah, I have it backwards. I might delete that for a second. Hold on. It's so big, I need to click, click, drag up, drag down, drag down. There we go. All right. That looks right. And then I'm going to just, I'm going to fix this one first. Normally we color at the end, but it'll be easier to actually color this in and then make a copy of it. So we're going to go to our stroke tool and we're going to, well, first let's pick our color. So eyedropper tool, change it to the orange and then flip it back to being the stroke. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe expand it a little bit into the rectangle and round it off. And once you get that correct, select it, hold down the Option key, and just make a copy of it and move it over here. And you've got his little feet. Now, his claws are the same exact shape as the eye. So once we make the eye up here, we'll have our claws. So don't worry about the claws right now. Instead, let's make his beak. So we're going to go to the polygon tool, and we're going to click, and we're going to make a triangle. So 3 sides. Let's change that to like 2-point type and my hot pink again. Or red. Red works too. And then first thing you want to do is rotate it 180 degrees and try to get it the right size. And right where that dot is at the bottom, start to drag up and that'll round your corners for you. And zoom in, just so you can kind of see what you're doing. Then I want you to go to your circle tool or ellipses tool. Draw a circle at the top. Try to make it the same width as your triangle. and center it. So select both of them and use your align tool up at the top here. And again, if you're on Essentials Classic, your alignment tools will show up at the top. And we're going to grab both of these and we're going to combine these with our Pathfinder tool, make it one shape. All right, let's draw the circle. There we go. And then we're going to draw another circle on the inside, and it's going to be just the size of the shape of the top of that crescent. Then you're going to draw another circle, and you need to make sure it completely covers the first circle that you drew for the crescent, and just make it the bottom curve and select both of them. Go to your Pathfinder tool, and this time we're going to do a minus front, which is going to cut it and make that shape. See? Then you can select both of these and either edit, copy, edit, paste, or hold down your Option key and just drag it over and just kind of change the rotation of that crescent. And then remember I said the crescents were going to be the little claws? They are. So copy, come down here, and paste. I'll bring it nice and down here for you. And just resize it to the size it needs to be for the little claw. And you might need to just kind of change the rotation a bit. And make a copy of it and bring it over. And you have two little claws. All right, now all we need to do is, oh, his little hair at the top. I almost forgot. You can do the little hair with the pen tool if you want, or the pencil tool. You use the pencil tool, draw, make sure you finish your path in order for it to color in. You always need to finish your path and close your path. That means kind of drawing on top of itself. So we'll select both of these and the head, and we're going to combine them. All right, so we're going to color this from the front back. So I'm going to grab the little crescent insides and eyedrop them. Then the whites of the eyes, and eyedrop them. Then I'm going to do this part and eyedrop it. Oops, oh, because I combined it, I need to send this to the back. Object, arrange, send to back. There we go. Then this portion and eyedrop. Grab the hands or the feathers, the wings, there we go, and eyedrop. And if you want this part up here to be the lighter yellow as well, you can draw another yellow circle and place it on top. Just make sure it's wide enough to fit that space. There we go. Then don't forget about the rectangle down here. I drop it. His feet are already done. And just eyedrop. You can eyedrop to the, try to get the color behind, or just do the crescent moon up here and give it the same color. And then for his beak, I forgot to grab his beak and color it in. So let's select that one, and it's actually that orange down here. So I'll just eyedrop from that orange. And he's all done too. And save it. Save and save often. If you lose your work once, you'll never go without saving again. And you will be good to go to submit. All right, everyone, have a great night.